All right, we've got a Wampler, a Bravado that's come in. The owner of this amp kind of just wants to know what he has, what the build quality is like and all that. He also is curious if there is any way to install a master volume to make this less loud. Now, I don't know anything about this amp other than I respect Wampler a lot. So I don't even know what the controls do yet. It's got a 6-position bright switch, volume, treble, middle, bass, and a fat switch. So far it looks pretty straightforward. I know that this was designed to be a pedal platform and to have a lot of headroom. That's all I know. Let's flip it around, take a look at the back. All right, send, return, effects loop, extension out, speaker out, 4/8/16, IEC with a built-in fuse drawer. All looks good. And dress washers, so far, so great. Let's take this rear panel off. Very neat fit and finish. It's got a very neat looking aluminum chassis. I can see some PEM nuts in there, looks like. It's got some ARS 12X7s, only 4 triodes in total, so this is going to be a low gain amp, which does not mean it's not going to be loud. It's got a 5 AR4 Softac and a pair of Softac 5881s. The non-Coinbase, these are essentially 6L6s. And they are rated 2323, so he has sorted them out. That's good. Iron looks kind of haybory. I can't tell from here. I'm not sure about the choke, but let's take this out of the cabinet and find out what's going on. Yes, I will mention this in every video where it's appropriate. When you have a very large Phillips head screw there, use a very large Phillips head screwdriver. This is number 3. If I use number 2, it'll strip the screw. I see that time and time again, particularly on old Marshalls. Don't even get me started on what people do to old slotted head brass screws. It may seem like a minor thing, but I really love these tall, thick, high-quality feet. I think these are from Mojotone. If not, Mojotone sells something very similar. But a lot of cabs come in with tiny little things, little afterthoughts. These are great. These are great. If you set it on a cab that has a handle, there's usually enough clearance with these, and there's a nice bit of acoustic dampening between the head and the cab. It's a difference between $1 per foot and $2 per foot. It's not an expensive thing, but it really shows that the builder cares. So kudos. All right, let's see the best way to get this out without chewing things up. Let me see if I can just lift it a little bit and just kind of walk it out. I could get 2 cake knives and slide it out that way, but usually I can just kind of get a sense for if it's going to stick. Trying to be sure, because this has got plastic panels, and if it gets snagged, I don't want to pull and snap one off. All right, it's got aluminum tape for shielding. It's got a little bit of a nick here and there, but nothing that's pulling up. Nashua products, tape products. This is cold weather sealing tape that you use for HVAC. Works fine for our purposes here. All right, I've looked through everything and got an overview of how things work without, drawing it all out or reverse engineering it. It's not necessary. First of all, the components are high quality. Synergy 1-watt carbon films, belt and sockets. We'll look at the effects send return, though. It seems to be the Friedman unit, which is a high quality one. And we'll see how the noise of this compares to the noise of those Voxes in a little bit. I don't see anything to ding here. The tone circuit seems pretty straightforward. It's a variation on a Fender tone stack. You can select the value of the treble cap, which is going to affect the mids and the overall response. We'll see how musical that is later. That's subjective. The boost is lifting the tone stack out, which will give you more of a tweedy kind of thing, but still not a ton of gain. And the output seems to be fairly straightforward. I've not checked whether it has negative feedback or not. I'll check that in a minute. I don't see any issues here in its layout. I mean, it's a non-traditional layout, but it's a traditional circuit. If the owner wanted me to add a master volume to this, there'd be no issue doing that. It's very easy to access right here, all the bits and bobs, and interrupt the wire runs without destroying everything here. Let me show you one thing that gives me a little bit of pause. And this is not a ding on Wampler, because this has affected a lot of people who use these ARS 22 microfarad caps. There was a period where ARS was shipping these 22s that had rubber vents at both ends. I'm not going to show you the other one, but there's a rubber vent here and a rubber vent here on the negative side. And this batch of ARS 22 microfarads have a tendency to leak. Friedman used the same caps. Friedman replaced them all for their customers. I'll ask the owner if he'd like me to replace these with some F&Ts or MODs. There's nothing wrong with ARS caps. The ones before this batch were good. The ones after this batch are good. But the ones with the dual rubber ends are a known problem, and they could rear their ugly. They may not have any problem with them yet, but preventatively, it'd be nice to change those out. And again, this is not a reflection or a ding on Wampler. That's just one of those things that happens in manufacturing. You don't know there's a problem until you know it, and once you know it, you stand behind it. It's an easy thing to change out 3 caps, not a big deal. Down at the power end of things, very neat, very logical. I like the way they did the lamp. I appreciate the little heat shrink bits and bobs on the switches. Everything's tight, no issues there. Down at this end, it seems like most of the circuit is grounded here. There may be something underneath the board that I'm not seeing. And the HT center tap and the reservoir ground are made here. So HT center tap on this side, reservoir ground here. I will slightly ding Wampler on one thing. The AC safety ground is also being made here. It should be made to its own dedicated point on the chassis, separate from everything else. I'm not going to make a change on this amp. It is safe in this application because all the 3 noisy things are here. And this is a very sturdy connection. It's not relying on the transformer mounting or anything. But it would be better and to fully decode if the AC safety ground were made over here by its lonesome. You can see they've got some 1 ohm 5-watt resistors from the cathodes to ground. This is a fixed biased amp. So these are just for measuring the bias for those of you who don't get into dangerous things involving transformers, which I'll be doing in a little bit. Very good quality impedance selector switch. Are you listening, Bogner? And all the wiring is great. No problems there whatsoever. So overall, this is an A minus maybe for the safety ground, but an A build. This is really good quality. Hopefully it sounds great. I'll find out in a little bit and get some coffee. Oh, and I forgot to mention, yes, it does definitely have negative feedback. I can see the tap here on the 8 ohm tap. And yes, the owner did express interest in having a master volume added, and electronically that'd be very, very simple to do. The best place in the circuit to put it would be right in this part of the chassis, but I don't want to drill through this lovely logo. Looks like a Futura variant. And the other place would be right here, but the PCB board extends in that area, kind of blocks it. So if one is absolutely necessary, I don't want to drill on the front panel because it'll also look like a hacked add-in thing. If the owner is only ever using this with one cabinet, I would take out this extension jack and return it with the amp. It could be reinstalled down the road, and I'd use that existing chassis hole location to put a master volume. Thank you, meter. And I would get a knob that matches this impedance selector. This is kind of like the ones used on old Boss pedals. So that would look kind of nice right there. So it is possible. Electronically, it's easy to do. Mechanically, this would be the best location. I don't know that it's necessary yet. I will find out after I play it, which I will get set up to do now. One thing I do have to ding a little bit. All these silver micas are the generic ones that just say SM. And as far as the sound goes, there's nothing wrong with these. The issue is these often become leaky, whereas the ones that say CDM do not. So hopefully these are not problematic. We're about to find out. All right, so I've got it all powered up. Still in standby, bass, middle, treble at noon. Volume off. Let's start with bright here, fat off. I'm using a K-Line Springfield with 10s. Into my shop cab, which has an ET65 with a Royer on it. Should be a pretty good indication of what this thing sounds like. Let's take it out of standby. It's picking up the Wi-Fi router a little bit. All right, it's a little bit noisy. I'm not too happy about that. All right, I got it turned all the way up. kind of nice. I've not even changed the settings. So it seems to be very much along the lines of a slightly gainier Fender Super Reverb channel. For the rest of this, I'm going to keep it about this high or lower. So I'm going to turn the mic pre back up. All right, let's see what the knobs and switches do. Huh. I was expecting more out of this. Let's see what the bright stuff does. Let's go to number 2 position. Well, I'm impressed with the range. That mids is really effective. You can really change the behavior of the entire amp with the mids. The fat switch is not doing much at all, and I'm a little bit confused. From the wiring, it looked like it was lifting the tone stack from ground. Apparently, I read that wrong. I have to look at that again. I'll do that and insert that in this bit of the video. At first glance, I thought the switch was just disconnecting the tone stack. It's not. It's putting this resistor across the mid spot. When it's in non-fat, the resistor is in circuit. So the resistor is decreasing the total amount of mids you can have. When the fat switch is up, this is out of circuit. You have the full range of the pot. Even when it's not engaged, this pot has an awful lot of mids available. So approach with caution. And I had it fairly high up at the point where I was testing the fat switch, so the contribution to the sound was not that great. So it's fairly subtle in some settings, certainly at the settings I was using. But it could be someone's secret weapon, and it's done very well, and I apologize for misreading it the first time I saw it. Well, I'm glad that mystery's been solved. I definitely see why the owner would like this thing to have a master volume, because you can get some sounds out of this that really do require master volumes to be in the house with it. Great sounds, but it's raunchy. Let me turn the pre down a little bit more and explore that again and see how much the mids contribute to that. Well, aside from that hum, I had a thought. This was face down on my bench without any shielding. And as I rotated the amp to pick it up, to flip it over to investigate this thought, the hum level changed a lot. Let me turn the volume back up. So now you hear a hiss without the hum. If I put my hand here, there's no hum because my left hand is on the chassis. If I touch just a plastic part, there's that hum that we were hearing. Now, when this is in the cabinet and it has its shielding, that hum goes away. So that was a non-issue caused by its environmental sensitivity when not shielded. So never mind. Seriously, it's good to be able to report that because it was acting like there was a bad ground or something. And a note to the industry. Those Vox handwireds for the other day had really noisy loops. Even when they're bypassed, the 10 was noisy. This one's got a very high quality loop in here using the same L&D 150 MOSFETs that the Vox is using. But this one, which uses the same L&D 150 MOSFETs as the Vox one, is dead quiet. It's always in the circuit, and it's always working, and there's no hiss or buzz or noise coming from it. This is what's called a professional product. Look up the term. You might remember it from the distant past. Now that I've sorted out that hum, I'm glad to say that aside from the potential unreliability of these three 22 microfarad ARS caps and the potential for these SM labeled generic silver micas to become problematic down the road, this amp is quite excellent. Sounds great. I really am impressed with this thing. It's built great. It sounds great. It doesn't have a lot of options on the front, but the ones it does have are very usable. Option paralysis is really a thing to be avoided, and I think Doug knocked it out of the park with this. I do think it would be better to offer this with a stock master volume, but that's why boneheads like me are around, right? Thanks for watching.